Hey guys, my name is Haley and today I'm going to be finally filming something that I feel like a couple people have asked for because I've read pretty much all of his books, or at least the ones that I can find by now, but I'm going to be filming where to start with John Marrs, or really just an overview of John Marrs's books. And I honestly don't know how to recommend them because all of his have been around a 4 to a 5 star. I think a couple of them were a 3.75, but nothing lower than that. I've been reading his books since the end of last year, I think, is when I've read the first two, and then I just binged the rest of them this summer. And I heard about him through Gabby Reads' channel, and she was reading The One and The Passengers, which were the first two that I started with, and I believe The One is his most popular. So yeah, I'm just going to be chatting about his books. I believe he has 7, and he has another one that just came out that is not available in the US yet. So I have not been able to get my hands on that one yet, although I may be making a book depository order for that because I need more John Marrs because I adore his thriller books. But yes, he is a UK-based thriller author. And my favorite thing about his books is the pacing that he does is so perfect. 99.9% of the time, the pacing of his thrillers are my perfect thriller in my brain. And that he'll give you some morally gray characters and then just throw plot twists at you, sprinkling them at first, and then you just get a million of them 3/4 of the way through the book, and then it's just plot twists towards the end is how a lot of them go. But I love his books. I'm going to start with the 2 that I started with. I'm going to talk about those for a minute, and then I'm just going to go down the list of the rest of his books that I've read. So the first of his books that I've read was The Passengers, and this one is about autonomous cars in which cars drive themselves in the near future, and one day a bunch of the cars, I think it's 7 or 8 of them, it's been close to a year since I read this one, but a couple of the cars kidnap their passengers and take them on a joyride and say, when you get to your destination, all of you are gonna die. And they're locked in the cars, they can't get out, they have no communication with the outside world. And this is one that played on my fear of cars. I have a thing about cars, I don't like driving. That's a whole thing. So this is my worst nightmare to be completely honest. And I thought this was really good. I gave this a 4.25 stars. It is one of his more popular books. Maybe not quite as popular as the other one, but I really recommend this. I think this is a solid place to start. I started here and it gave me a very good taste for what his writing style and his plots are like. And this one definitely was sci-fi enough. So if you're a fan of sci-fi, I think you would enjoy this one. And then next, the second one that I read also at the end of last year is The One, which this is one I've heard so many people talk about, people that are starting to get into the thrillery mood have been picking this up or putting it on TBRs, and it is probably because of the plot. The premise is that you have the ability to find out who your soulmate is, who you, by your DNA, are destined to be with. It's starting to become a newer thing, and people are doing it to find out without having to worry about dating and finding their soulmate or who they should marry or who they should spend the rest of their life with by themselves. It removes that part of dating from your life. But the thing is, it's kind of like the Match.com, what is it? The DNA Ancestry.com, whatever that's called. It's kind of like that, in that you send in your DNA and then you wait a certain amount of business days and then you get the name of your person and you can choose what you want to do about it. And the problem and the catch with this is that not everybody has taken the test. You could either get you'd have an unknown because the other person has not taken a test, or there could be the situation in which the other person has taken the test and you can find each other. Then there's the conflict of people who are already married or already in relationships are choosing to do this match for their one and then find out the person that they're with is not their one, and how they handle that morally, and it's a whole ordeal. This is told from a bunch of different perspectives and I loved it. One of the perspectives was absolutely crazy to read from. I'm not even gonna give it away what it was because it's just fascinating. This is one that is definitely starting to gain more popularity, I feel in the last couple of months. And I feel a lot of people are probably going to be reading this one looking for thrillers for October. Next up is his newer release, like his newest release in the US, and I think it's his second newest release in like general. He's from the UK, so we don't always get his books right away. And that is What Lies Between Us, which I read towards the beginning of the summer, I want to say sometime in June, maybe very early July. And I have a vlog of me reading this down below, and I flew through this, and like this one is the most like plot twist filled, I think. I mean, all of his books are full of plot twists, but this one was like the craziest, like constant plot twist, to the point where I was just like, what is happening? Like, this felt like a very, very good scary movie, or like thriller movie, and that's the best way I can think of to describe it. I think that's why I like this one, was because this one doesn't really have a description. Like, the back just says Nina can never forgive Maggie for what she did, and she can never let her leave. That's the only description you get. And this is a very, what is that called, like a closed circle mystery, when it's like a very small group of people. But in this case, it's not even like a small group of people, it's just two people are the main characters, and they're in a small enclosed space, and like the entire book pretty much takes place in this one space, and it's crazy. This is, I keep like debating on what my favorite of his books are, but I would probably have to say this one because I absolutely adored it. Oh, that's another thing I haven't said about John Marrs. His characters, I feel like I vaguely mentioned this earlier, his characters are never nice people. They're never good people. There's always something wrong with them, so you should never like trust any of his characters, especially main characters. They're usually horrible people, and that is so much the case in this one. It's really hard to talk about this book without spoiling it, because I literally went in knowing absolutely nothing and was like, oh, that's what's happening. Okay. Next up is his book, When You Disappeared. I read this one on Kindle. I read actually quite a few of his books on ebook or in Kindle, because they're either like impossible to find in paperback for some reason, or I just like was looking in the wrong places, or don't exist. I don't know. Maybe some of them don't exist in like a hardcover or paperback form. I don't know. What Lies Between Us was the only one that was easy for me to find. I think The One and The Passengers also definitely exist in like paperback, but cannot find the rest of these books, to be completely honest. And this one is about a husband and a wife, but it's like told in a flip-flopped time way. Like, it's almost told, it starts at the end of the story and then you're taken back to the beginning, and then slowly building up to where we're at and like what actually happened. This one plays a lot on like biases of like how we think we know what's going on. We think we know other people really well, but we really might not know them well at all. Or we think we know what happened. It plays a lot on the idea of there are three parts to every story. There's your side of the story, my side of the story, and then there's the truth. That's the best way to describe this book. And the male character in this book is one of the most annoying characters I've ever encountered. I hated him. Like, I had a visceral reaction every time he did something. I hate him. Like, he's the worst human being ever. So if you like some like real crap main characters, as in like they're a terrible person but very well written, I recommend this one. Next up, we have more of a larger cast. I feel like not all of his books take place with a larger cast. It's very 50-50. And that is Welcome to Wherever You Are. This one takes place in a hostel in like the western US somewhere in the middle of nowhere. And it's just how a bunch of people who are staying in this hostel end up getting involved and like their lives intertwining in really interesting ways. This was one of the ones that I was like, how are all of these characters even gonna come together in any way, shape, or form? And I was amazed at the way that John Marrs brought all these characters together and like had their stories intertwined. It was very interesting. This is probably the least frustrating of all of his books. Like, this has more of a wholesome content than like any of his other books. So if you're like not super keen on dipping your toes into like the terrible people that a lot of his main characters are, I would recommend this one, to be completely honest. I think this might actually be his first novel that he put out. And then for the last two, we have Her Last Move, which if you are a fan of mystery and not as much like thriller horror, I would recommend this one, because this one is more of a detective mystery almost. Like, it plays very much into the detective like police force that whole deal. And I really love this one. This one also isn't as much of your main characters are terrible people as a lot of his other ones either. So I would recommend Welcome to Wherever You Are and Her Last Move if you're not super into the, like if you're someone that can't handle a main character being a terrible person because then you don't care about the story, I would definitely recommend one of those two because this one isn't quite as bad. I actually really love this one. Like this one surprised me because I knew absolutely nothing about this one going into it. I was just like, oh, another John Mars, let's go. And then last, and what is probably my least favorite of his, just because I hated both of our characters so much, like they were both just absolutely horrible people, and that is The Good Samaritan. I was literally listening to this on audiobook, and within 15% I was like, what am I reading? Like, what is happening right now? Is this really our main character? Oh no. Like, it becomes very apparent how terrible of a person our main character is very quickly, and I was like, can I even read this? This is, if you have like issues with a moral compass or like people that don't care about human life, I guess is the best way to put it, I would steer clear of this one. I'm not gonna lie. If you're gonna avoid any of his books, not that I think it was a bad book, I think it was built up very well, but wow, was the whole situation very, very morally gray. Not even just morally gray, but like morally gray verging on like actual villain. Like, I don't have a better word for that. Like a villain origin story. Like, terrible person is actively causing people harm. But yeah, that is my quick rundown. Just again to say, I personally think most people should start with the one. My personal favorite is What Lies Between Us because I liked the smaller cast and the plot twists were insane. And if you aren't very much into the morally gray characters, I would try Welcome to Wherever You Are or Her Last Move. But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed this. Let me know if you end up picking up any of John Mars's books or which one sounds the most interesting to you. Thank you all for watching, and I will see all of you guys next time.